Hi everyone and welcome to this lesson. Today we're going to look at present value annuities. Now a present value annuity is when we pay back a loan with equal installments. Now another word for equal installments will be equal payments. Now let's see how this works. Now let's say we want to buy a new computer and the purchase price of that new computer is 5,000 Rand. This 5,000 Rand is also our present value. Okay, so the purchase price or the amount that we borrowed is our present value. Now, let's say we want to pay off this purchase price over the next 5 years. And we are going to make equal payments of 1,387 Rand and 5 cents at the end of each year. Now, the interest rate that we got, because we are going to pay this off, there's interest involved, right? So the interest rate is 12%, and we always want to change the percentage into its decimal in mathematics. So it will be 0.12, and we equate it to the letter I. Now, in this case, it's going to be compounded yearly because we're going to make the payment at the end of each year. You also know that we get compounded monthly, compounded quarterly, compounded semi-annually, right? Okay, so what happens is our purchase price will grow by 12% for the first year, and then we end up owing 5,600 Rand. Then we make our equal payment and we end off with 4,212 Rand and 95 cents. Now this 4,212 and 95 cents is our remaining balance at the start of each year or the remaining balance at the end of that year, right? So it's at the end of the first year or the start of the second year. Then this amount is going to grow by 12% and we're going to get 4,718 Rand and 50 cents. We make our equal payment and again we end up with our remaining balance at the end of our second year or similarly at the start of the third year. So this amount grows by 12, we end up with this amount, we make our equal payment, and we end off with our remaining balance at the end of the third year, or this is the amount that we still owe at the beginning of the fourth year. So this amount grows by 12%, we end up with this amount, we make our equal payment, and we got our remaining balance at the end of the fourth year, or it's the remaining balance at the start of the fifth year. So this 1,238 Rand and 43 cents is going to grow by 12% and we're going to end off with 1,387 Rand and 5 cents at the end of the fifth year, and then we're going to make that equal payment and then we owe 0 Rand. Okay, so that is how it kind of works. Now, what we want to calculate is, we want to know how to calculate the purchase price or the present value of any annuity. And remember, an annuity is something that we pay off with equal payments, right? So we want to know how to calculate this purchase price or the present value. And we also want to know how to calculate this equal payment, what the equal payment will be. Now, let me just quickly show you this. Once we know the equal payment, and we multiply it with the amount of payments that we had to make. So let's say this 1,387 Rand and 5 cents and we made 5 payments. We get an amount of 6,935 Rand and 25 cents. That was the total amount of money that we actually paid. So if we want to know what was the purchase price including all the interest, we just simply take these equal payments and we multiply it with the amount of payments that we had to make. So that is the purchase price including interest. But this 5,000 Rand is just the present value or just the purchase price. Now let me show you how we can easily calculate this purchase price as well as this equal installment. Now, to calculate the equal installment, we're going to make use of this formula where X is the installment or the amount that we have to pay every month or every year, in this case every year, and that is equal to our present value or the purchase price multiplied by the interest rate as a decimal divided by the compound periods. Now remember, interest rates are always in the form of compounded yearly, monthly, or semi-annually or quarterly, but in this case it was 12% compounded yearly because we only made the payment at the end of each year. So in this case, our compound period is going to be 1 because it's every year, right? Now we divide with 1 minus, and in brackets 1 plus, again the interest rate is a decimal divided by the compound periods, which is 1 because it's yearly. If it was monthly it would be 12. If it was semi-annually it will be 2. If it was quarterly it would be 4. Then we have to the power of negative n. Now this n is the amount of payments that we had to make. Now we had to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 payments, so n is going to be 5. Now a very quick way to calculate n, we always take the years and we multiply it with the compound periods. Now we paid it off over 5 years, our compound period is 1 because we make 1 payment every year, and then we end off with n that is equal to 5. Now we simply do substitution of all these values. So in the place of P, we're going to put the purchase price, which is 5,000 Rand. In the place of I, we're going to put the interest rate as a decimal. There we go. In the place of the compound period, we're going to write 1 because it's compounded yearly. And then in the place of N, we're going to put the 5. And there we go. And we are basically done. Okay, so then we just type this into our calculator and we end off with our yearly payment of 1,387 Rand and 5 cents. Now, if we want to calculate the purchase price, we can simply go and rewrite this formula into P, which is our present value, or purchase price, is equal to the payments, and in brackets 1 minus 1 plus I over CP, in brackets to the power of negative n, divided by our interest rate as a decimal, divided by the compound periods. So in the place of x, we put the equal payment of 1,387 Rand and 5 cents. There we go. 1 minus 1 plus, in the place of I, it's 0.12. Compound periods is 1, and in the place of n, it's 5. And we do the same for the bottom here. And then we end off with a purchase price of 5,000 Rand. Okay, so that is our equal payment, that is our purchase price, and if we want to know the purchase price including interest, we're simply going to take this equal payment and multiply it by 5, and we will get this amount, 6,935 Rand and 25 cents, which is the purchase price including the interest over 5 years. Let's go look at an example. Now in this example, we are going to take out a loan to finance a new car that we want to buy. We can repay the loan by making monthly payments of 3,500 Rand for a period of 5 years. The interest rate is 15% per annum compounded monthly. What is the purchase price of the car? Now, first of all, we're going to repay a loan by making equal monthly payments. That is a present value annuity. And because we want to know the purchase price of the car, we want to know the present value. And the present value is P. So this is the formula that we are going to use. There we go. Now we just have to do the substitution of all these values. So in the place of X, which is the monthly payments, we're going to put 3,500 Rand. And there we go. Then we open up the bracket, 1 minus, and in the smaller bracket, we've got 1 plus. And in the place of I, it's the interest rate as a decimal. And this is 15%, and 15% as a decimal is 0.15. The compound periods, because it's compounded monthly, there are 12 months in a year, so the compound periods will be 12. Then we have to calculate N. Now, N is the total amount of payments that we have to make, and we calculate N by taking the years times the compound periods. There are 5 years, and because it's compounded monthly and there's 12 months in a year, it's 5 times 12, and we end off with 60 payments that we're going to make. So in the place of N, we're going to put 60. There we go. And we divide with, again, the I, which is 0.15, and the compound periods is 12. We type this into our calculator, and we end off with an purchase price of 147,121 Rand and 7 cents. This will be the present value or the purchase price of that car, or the initial value that we borrowed. Excellent. See you again next time. Bye.